Get out of my seat before I have security drag you back to whatever academy hole you crawled from.
Victoria Whitman's voice sliced through the first-class cabin of Phoenix Airlines Flight 492 like a razor blade. She stood towering over seat 2A, her designer Hermes purse clutched against her chest like armor, staring down at the young woman sitting calmly beneath her. The engines hadn't started yet. The aircraft sat motionless at Gate B7 of Dallas International Airport, 3:45 p.m. on a Tuesday that would reshape the aviation industry forever. But Victoria Whitman had no idea that in exactly 6 minutes and 47 seconds, she would watch her family's airline empire crumble on live television broadcast to Phoenix Airlines' 52,000 employees worldwide. Maya Johnson looked up from her phone. 19 years old, dark skin glowing against an oversized gray hoodie, worn white sneakers that had seen better days. Her backpack, faded and practical, was tucked neatly under the seat in front of her. To every passenger in the cabin, she looked like a college student who'd somehow wandered into the wrong section. What they didn't know was that Maya Johnson was worth $3.8 billion. What they didn't know was that she was the CEO of Quantum Link Systems, the company that controlled 68% of airline scheduling software globally. What they didn't know was that with a single tap on her phone, she could ground every Phoenix Airlines aircraft in the sky. But Maya never announced her power. She simply held it quietly, like everything else in her life. "This seat is mine," Maya said, her voice calm and steady. She didn't stand up. She didn't raise her voice. She simply spoke the truth. Victoria's lip curled with disgust. "People like you don't sit in first class, sweetheart." The word sweetheart dripped with condescension, each syllable designed to cut. Before we dive deeper into this story that will shock you to your core, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments below. And if you've ever been told you don't belong somewhere you rightfully earned your place, hit that subscribe button. Stories like this need to be heard, and what happens next will remind you that quiet strength can move mountains. Now back to the confrontation that would change everything. The first-class cabin of Flight 492 was a study in luxury. Cream leather seats, polished wood accents, ambient lighting that cast a golden glow over everything. 24 seats total, each one costing more than most people's monthly rent. The kind of space where power players conducted business and celebrities hid from the world. Maya had earned her seat here, not because of her bank account, but because she'd booked it 3 weeks ago for a business trip to Phoenix. A quiet meeting with aviation executives who had no idea they'd be sitting across from the person who controlled their industry's backbone. Victoria Whitman, 28 years old, had never earned anything in her life. Daughter of Phoenix Airlines board chairman Robert Whitman, she lived in a world where doors opened because of her last name, where first-class seats were her birthright, where people who looked like Maya were invisible unless they were serving her drinks. Ma'am Victoria called over her shoulder, voice sharp and demanding. "Ma'am, we have a situation here." Sarah Mitchell hurried over, her flight attendant uniform crisp and pressed badge gleaming. 35 years old, 15 years with Phoenix Airlines, Sarah had learned to navigate the delicate politics of first-class passengers, especially when one of them was Victoria Whitman. "Miss Whitman," Sarah said, her voice immediately deferential. "How can I help you?" Victoria gestured at Maya like she was pointing out a spill. "This person is sitting in my seat. 2A. I always sit in 2A. Sarah's eyes darted between the two women. She reached for her tablet, fingers moving quickly. "Let me just check the seating chart." "Don't check anything," Victoria snapped. "I don't care what some computer says. That seat belongs to me." From his seat in 3C, Carlos Rivera looked up from his phone. 24 years old, Hispanic, wearing a simple button-down shirt and jeans. An aspiring journalist who'd saved for 3 months to afford this flight to Phoenix, where he hoped to land his first real reporting job. He watched the scene unfold with the instincts of someone who recognized injustice when he saw it. Carlos quietly opened Instagram, switched to live video, and hit record. "Yo guys," he whispered to his phone. "Something's happening on my flight. Y'all need to see this." The live viewer count started at 0. Within 30 seconds, it climbed to 12, then 28, then 47. Miss Sarah said to Maya, her voice careful but firm, "Could I see your boarding pass, please?" Maya reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out her phone. A few taps and her mobile boarding pass appeared on the screen. "Clear as daylight. Phoenix Airlines Flight 492, Seat 2A, First Class." Sarah blinked. That's correct. You're in the right seat." Victoria's face flushed red. "That's impossible. There must be some kind of error." "The system doesn't make errors like that," Sarah said carefully. "Then someone upgraded her." Victoria's voice rose, carrying across the cabin. Other passengers began to turn and stare. Some bleeding heart gate agent took pity on her and gave her my seat. Maya's hands remained folded in her lap. She'd been through this before. Not exactly this, but versions of it. The assumptions, the disbelief, the idea that someone who looked like her couldn't possibly belong in spaces like this. Her phone buzzed softly. A message from her assistant flight delayed 10 minutes. Phoenix board meeting moved to 7 p.m. All attendees confirmed. Maya almost smiled. The Phoenix Airlines board had no idea their largest software vendor was sitting in seat 2A being accused of theft. "Look," Victoria said, stepping closer to Maya's seat. "I don't know how you got that boarding pass, but this is first class. There are rules here, standards." The word standards hung in the air like poison gas. Carlos's live stream viewer count hit 127. Comments started flooding in. "What is happening? This is so messed up. Why is she being so nasty? That girl is just sitting there." Dr. Miguel Santos, sitting in seat 2C, lowered his medical journal. A surgeon at Dallas Methodist, he'd seen enough human behavior in high-stress situations to recognize prejudice when it was standing right in front of him. He reached for his phone. "Ma'am," he said quietly to Victoria. "She has a valid boarding pass. Maybe we could stay out of this." Victoria snapped. "This doesn't concern you." Dr. Santos's jaw tightened. He opened his phone's video camera and began recording. Jennifer Walsh, a business executive sitting in 1C, watched the scene with growing discomfort. She'd flown first class hundreds of times, but she'd never seen anything like this. The young woman in 2A hadn't said a single hostile word. She was just sitting there calm and dignified while Victoria Whitman made a fool of herself. "You know what," Victoria said, her voice getting louder. "I'm calling security. This is fraud, identity theft, something." She pulled out her phone, a gleaming iPhone Pro Max, in a case that probably cost more than Maya's entire outfit. Victoria's fingers moved quickly across the screen. "Daddy, it's me. I'm on the plane and there's been some kind of mix-up. Someone's sitting in my seat and what? No, I don't care if you're in a meeting. This is important." Maya closed her eyes for a moment. In her mind, she could hear her mother's voice from years ago when Maya was just a child facing her first taste of discrimination. "Baby girl Grace under fire builds character. Let them show you who they are, then show them who you are." Maya opened her eyes and looked directly at Victoria. "I paid for this seat. I have every right to be here." Victoria laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off the cabin walls. "You paid. With what, your student loan money?" The racist implications hung heavy in the air. Carlos's live stream had hit 342 viewers, and the comments were getting angrier. "This is straight up racist. Someone needs to stop this. Where are the other passengers? Why isn't anyone helping her?" Maya's phone buzzed again. This time it was an encrypted message from her security team. "Monitoring situation via flight manifest. Protocol Delta standing by. Awaiting your signal." Maya typed back quickly. "Maintain position. I've got this," Ma'am Sarah said, looking increasingly uncomfortable. "The boarding pass is legitimate. There's no error in the system." "Then change it," Victoria demanded. "Move her somewhere else. First class has a certain atmosphere, a standard of passenger that needs to be maintained. The racism wasn't even subtle anymore. It was right there, naked and ugly for everyone to see." Jennifer Walsh couldn't stay quiet anymore. "Excuse me," she said, standing up. "That's completely inappropriate." Victoria whirled around. "Excuse me, who asked for your opinion?" "I'm asking for basic human decency," Jennifer replied. "That young woman has done nothing wrong." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "Look around this cabin. Do you see anyone else dressed like they're going to a community college library? There's a dress code up here. It's called People Who Actually Belong. The words hit Maya like physical blows, not because they hurt, but because they were so predictably cruel. She'd built an empire worth billions, revolutionized an entire industry, employed thousands of people. But to Victoria Whitman, all of that was invisible. All Victoria saw was a young black woman in a hoodie. Carlos's viewer count jumped to 756. His comment section was exploding. Someone call the news. This is viral material right here. That white lady is disgusting. Stand up, Queen. Don't let her do this. Maya stood up slowly, not to leave but to face Victoria directly. At full height, Maya was slightly shorter, but something in her posture made her seem larger. There was a quiet power in the way she held herself, like a storm that hadn't decided whether to break. My dress code, Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the cabin, is based on comfort and practicality, not on impressing people who judge others by their appearance. Victoria's face twisted with rage. Don't lecture me about judgment. I know exactly what this is. You're trying to make some kind of statement. Film some viral video about discrimination so you can play victim on social media. She gestured around the cabin wildly. Well, congratulations. You've got your audience. You've got your drama. But you're not getting my seat. Maya's phone buzzed with another encrypted message. Phoenix Airlines stock down 2% on social media chatter. Monitoring continuing. Maya almost laughed. Quantum Link's AI systems monitored social media sentiment in real time, tracking how viral incidents affected client companies. The algorithm had detected Carlos's live stream and the growing hashtag #FirstClassFight and was already predicting market impact. Victoria didn't know that her tantrum was costing her family's company money by the minute. You want to know what this is? Maya said quietly. This is me flying from Dallas to Phoenix for a business meeting. Just like you. Just like everyone else in this cabin. Business meeting. Victoria laughed again. What business? What company would hire someone who... She caught herself, but the words hung in the air anyway. Someone who looked like Maya. Someone who dressed like Maya. Someone who wasn't white, wasn't wealthy, wasn't Victoria. Dr. Santos had seen enough. That's it, he said, standing up. I'm a physician, and I'm witnessing harassment of a passenger. This needs to stop. More passengers were standing now. The cabin was dividing into camps, those who supported Victoria's right to the seat, and those who recognized the situation for what it really was. Carlos's live stream hit 200 viewers. Someone in the comments had tagged major news outlets. CNN. You need to see this. At ABC News. This is happening right now. Victoria looked around the cabin and realized she was losing control of the narrative. But she had one more card to play. The nuclear option. My father, she said, her voice rising to ensure everyone could hear, is chairman of Phoenix Airlines. One call from me and you'll never fly any airline again. Security will escort you off this plane in handcuffs if necessary. The threat landed like a bomb. The cabin went quiet. Even the background hum of the aircraft's systems seemed to fade. Maya looked at Victoria for a long moment. Then she smiled, not a friendly smile, but the kind of smile that comes before justice is served. Your father, Maya said softly, is Robert Whitman. That's right. Chairman of Phoenix Airlines. Exactly. Maya nodded thoughtfully. The same Robert Whitman who's been desperately trying to schedule a meeting with my company for 6 months. Victoria blinked. What? The same Phoenix Airlines that pays my company $47 million annually for flight scheduling software. The color began to drain from Victoria's face. The same software, Maya continued, her voice growing stronger, that I could disable with a single phone call, grounding every Phoenix Airlines aircraft in the sky. Victoria's mouth opened, but no words came out. Maya pulled out her phone and opened an app. The screen displayed a simple interface, Quantum Link Systems Executive Dashboard. At the bottom, in red letters, Emergency Protocol Delta 7. My name, Maya said loud enough for the entire cabin to hear, is Maya Johnson. I'm the CEO of Quantum Link Systems, and you just threatened the wrong passenger. Carlos's live stream exploded to 400 viewers as passengers throughout the cabin gasped, pulled out their phones, and started recording. The hashtag First Class Fight was trending in Dallas, Phoenix, and starting to spread nationwide. Victoria stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. And Maya Johnson, 19 years old, wearing a hoodie and sneakers, placed her finger over the emergency protocol button that would shut down an entire airline. In exactly 3 minutes and 47 seconds, the aviation industry would never be the same. Maya Johnson's finger hovered over the emergency protocol button as silence filled the first-class cabin. Around her, passengers held their breath, phones raised, cameras recording. The weight of the moment pressed down like the cabin pressure before turbulence. But to understand how a 19-year-old girl in a hoodie came to hold the power to ground an entire airline, you need to know her story. 3 years earlier, Maya Johnson lived in a one-bedroom apartment in Detroit with her aunt surviving on ramen noodles and Wi-Fi stolen from the coffee shop downstairs. Brilliant beyond her years, she'd skipped 2 grades and earned a full scholarship to MIT. But Maya never made it to Massachusetts. Instead, she found her calling in her aunt's garage, surrounded by discarded computers and a vision that would reshape the aviation industry. The idea came to her during a family crisis. Her grandmother was dying in a hospital in Phoenix, and Maya needed to get there fast. She bought a ticket with her savings money meant for textbooks and meal plans. But when she arrived at Detroit Metropolitan Airport, the gate agent took one look at her. A 16-year-old black girl traveling alone, and decided her ticket must be fraudulent. Computers show this ticket was stolen, the agent had said, refusing to scan the barcode. I'm calling security. Maya missed her grandmother's funeral because of that agent's assumptions. She sat in the airport for 6 hours watching flights to Phoenix depart while security investigated her legitimate ticket. By the time they cleared her, it was too late. At the funeral home, standing before a closed casket, Maya made a promise. She would create a system where discrimination couldn't hide behind computer errors or policy, where bias would be exposed, documented, and eliminated. She started coding that night. Quantum Link Systems began as a simple idea airline scheduling software that removed human prejudice from the equation. Instead of gate agents making subjective decisions about who belonged on a flight, Maya's algorithm analyzed only objective data. Ticket validity, payment, confirmation, security clearance. Nothing about appearance, age, or race could influence the system. Her first client was a small regional airline facing discrimination lawsuits. Maya's software cost them $50,000 to implement, but saved them millions in legal fees and reputation damage. Word spread through the industry like wildfire. Within 2 years, Maya had landed contracts with 12 major airlines. Her software didn't just schedule flights, it predicted and prevented bias before it happened. The system tracked employee behavior patterns, identified potential discrimination hotspots, and sent real-time alerts to management. Phoenix Airlines had been one of Maya's biggest early adopters, desperate to clean up their image after a series of high-profile discrimination incidents. They paid Quantum Link $47 million annually, making Maya one of their largest vendors. Now, as Victoria Whitman stood frozen in the aircraft aisle, Maya reflected on the irony. Phoenix Airlines' own software was about to be used against them. But Maya had learned something else. In building her empire, power without purpose was just noise. She'd watched enough tech billionaires abuse their influence, turning innovation into oppression. Maya chose a different path. She lived quietly, flew commercial instead of private jets, wore hoodies instead of designer suits. Not because she couldn't afford luxury, but because she wanted to stay connected to the experiences of ordinary passengers. How could she fix problems she couldn't see? You're lying, Victoria said finally, her voice shaking. You're just some college kid trying to scam your way into first class. Maya looked at her with something approaching pity. Victoria lived in a world where worth was measured by appearances, where money bought respect and race determined value. She literally couldn't comprehend that the woman she'd been humiliating for the past 10 minutes controlled her family's business. Ma'am Sarah Mitchell said carefully, "Perhaps we should." "No," Victoria snapped. "I don't care what she claims. Look at her. Does she look like a CEO to you?" The question revealed everything wrong with Victoria's worldview. Maya looked exactly like what she was, a brilliant young woman who'd built an empire through talent, not inheritance. But Victoria only saw race and class, missing the genius underneath. Carlos Rivera's live stream had exploded to 12,000 viewers. The comments were moving too fast to read, "Holy shit, she's a CEO. This white lady is about to get wrecked. Quantum Link is worth billions. Google this company right now. Maya Johnson is a literal genius." Professional journalists were starting to notice. A CNN producer messaged Carlos directly. "Can we use your feed? This is breaking news." Dr. Santos stepped closer, his phone still recording. "Miss Johnson," he said quietly, "I looked up your company while this was happening. What you've accomplished is remarkable." Maya nodded gratefully. Dr. Santos understood something Victoria couldn't. Achievement came in many forms, and intelligence didn't wear a uniform. Jennifer Walsh was frantically Googling on her phone. Her eyes widened as search results filled her screen. "Victoria," she said urgently, "you need to stop talking. Right now." Victoria whirled around. "Don't tell me what to do." "Quantum Link Systems." Jennifer read from her phone, valued at $7.2 billion. CEO Maya Johnson. 19th youngest black woman ever to build a unicorn company. Featured on Forbes Under 30 list, Time magazine, Person of the Year shortlist. She looked up at Victoria with horror. "You just racially harassed one of the most powerful people in the aviation industry." Victoria's face went white, then red, then white again. That's impossible. She's wearing a hoodie." Maya almost laughed. "Victoria, I'm curious about something. What exactly do you think CEOs look like?" "They look like," Victoria gestured helplessly. "Like business people, like successful people." "You mean they look white?" Maya said quietly. The words hung in the air like an indictment. Victoria opened her mouth to deny it, but everyone in the cabin knew Maya was right. Maya's phone buzzed with a message from her CFO. "Stock mentions spiking 400%. Bloomberg wants comment." "How should we respond?" Maya typed back. "Monitor only. Let it play out." She looked around the cabin at the passengers recording, posting, sharing. In the old days, incidents like this happened in darkness. Victims had no proof, no witnesses, no way to fight back. But social media had changed the game. Now bias was documented in real-time broadcast to the world, impossible to deny or cover up. "The thing is," Victoria Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the cabin, "I didn't come on this plane to start a fight. I came to attend a business meeting with your father's company. A meeting where Quantum Link was planning to expand our contract with Phoenix Airlines by another $50 million annually." Victoria's eyes went wide with realization. Maya continued. "I was going to Phoenix to discuss integrating our new bias detection software across all Phoenix Airlines customer service touchpoints. Gates check-in counters, flight crews. The technology would have prevented incidents exactly like this one. The irony was devastating. Phoenix Airlines was about to pay Maya to solve the very problem Victoria had just created. But now, Maya said, glancing at her phone, "I'm wondering if Phoenix Airlines is really committed to change, or if this is just who they are." Carlos's live stream hit 18,000 viewers. First-class fight was trending nationally. News outlets were picking up the story. Phoenix Airlines' stock price was starting to move. Dr. Santos cleared his throat. "As a witness to this incident, I want to say that Miss Johnson has shown remarkable restraint. Anyone else would have lost their temper 10 minutes ago." Maya smiled at him. "Grace under fire builds character. My mother taught me that." "Your mother sounds wise," Dr. Santos replied. "She was. She died when I was 17. Car accident on her way to my high school graduation." Maya's voice softened. "She never got to see what I built, but I know she'd be proud of how I handle moments like this." The personal details shifted the entire energy in the cabin. This wasn't just a business story anymore. It was human, real. A young woman carrying her mother's lessons into spaces that tried to exclude her. Jennifer Walsh stood up again. "Victoria, you need to apologize, right now." "I'm not apologizing to," Victoria began. "To one of the most successful entrepreneurs of her generation," Jennifer interrupted. To someone your own family's company desperately needs as a business partner? To a woman you racially profiled based on her clothes? Victoria looked around the cabin desperately. Every face stared back with judgment, disappointment, or outright disgust. She was completely alone. "This is insane," Victoria muttered. "She's 19. She can't be running some billion-dollar company." Maya pulled out her business card. Simple, white, elegant. Just her name and title. Maya Johnson, CEO, Quantum Link Systems. She held it out to Victoria. Victoria stared at the card like it might bite her. "Age is just a number," Maya said. Bill Gates started Microsoft at 19. Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook at 20. I revolutionized airline software at 16. "What have you accomplished lately, Victoria?" The question was devastating in its simplicity. Victoria had never built anything, never created anything, never earned anything on her own merit. She was 28 years old, and her only qualification was her last name. Maya's phone buzzed again. Her head of security, Phoenix Airlines board chairman, requesting emergency call. "Should we patch you through?" Maya typed back, "Tell Robert Whitman I'll speak with him after his daughter learns some manners." The message was polite, but the implication was clear. Maya held all the cards now. Carlos whispered to his live stream, "Y'all, this is history happening. This girl just flipped the entire power dynamic of this flight." Comments flooded in. Maya Johnson is my new hero. This is what real power looks like. She's handling this like a boss. Victoria is done for. Phoenix Airlines stock about to crash. Victoria made one last desperate play. "Security!" she shouted toward the front of the aircraft. "I need security. This passenger is threatening me." A collective gasp went up from the cabin. The accusation was so obviously false, so transparently manipulative that it backfired immediately. Dr. Santos stepped forward. "As a witness, I can state definitively that Miss Johnson has not threatened anyone. She's been nothing but professional while you've been verbally abusive for the past 15 minutes. Other passengers began speaking up. "She never threatened you. You're the one making threats. This is ridiculous. Someone needs to stop this." Maya watched Victoria self-destruct with a mixture of sadness and inevitability. This was what happened when privilege met accountability. When people used to getting their way suddenly faced consequences. "Victoria," Maya said quietly, "I want you to understand something. I don't want to hurt your family's company. I don't want to destroy anyone's career. I just want to travel from Dallas to Phoenix in the seat I paid for without being harassed because of my race." Her voice grew stronger. "But if you keep pushing this, if you keep escalating, I will respond accordingly. And my response capabilities are significantly more substantial than yours." The threat was gentle but unmistakable. Maya Johnson had the power to ground Phoenix Airlines entirely. Victoria Whitman had the power to throw tantrums. Victoria's phone buzzed. A call from Daddy. She answered immediately. "Victoria." "Where are you? I just got a call from our head of communications. Something about a viral video. Our stock is moving." Victoria looked around the cabin at the cameras, the live streams, the passengers recording her meltdown. She looked at Maya Johnson sitting calmly in seat 2A with the quiet confidence of someone who'd earned her place in the world. And Victoria Whitman, for the first time in her privileged life, realized she was completely, utterly, and publicly powerless. The countdown continued 2 minutes and 13 seconds until Maya Johnson changed the aviation industry forever. Victoria Whitman gripped her phone so tightly her knuckles went white. Her father's voice crackled through the speaker, demanding answers she couldn't provide without admitting what she'd done. "Daddy, there's been a misunderstanding," Victoria began. "Victoria, talk to me. Our communications team is tracking some kind of social media incident involving Phoenix Airlines. Something happening on one of our flights right now." Victoria looked around the cabin. Carlos's live stream showed 23,000 viewers and climbing. Dr. Santos held his phone steady, recording everything. Jennifer Walsh was typing furiously, probably posting to her LinkedIn about corporate discrimination. Passengers throughout first class had their devices out, documenting every word. It's nothing serious, Victoria lied. Just a seating confusion. I'll handle it. Maya Johnson listened to the conversation with growing amazement. Victoria still believed she could control this narrative, still thought her father's influence could make reality bend to her will. Victoria, I need you to listen very carefully. Robert Whitman's voice carried through the phone. We're in the middle of delicate negotiations with our largest software vendor, a company called Quantum Link. Their CEO is supposedly flying to Phoenix today for meetings. If anything disrupts that relationship. Victoria's face went ashen. She looked at Maya with dawning horror. Maya smiled and gave a little wave. Daddy, Victoria whispered, I need to call you back. She hung up quickly, but not quickly enough. The damage was already done broadcast live to thousands of viewers who now understood exactly what was at stake. Carlos whispered to his audience. Y'all heard that right? Her daddy just confirmed Maya Johnson is their biggest vendor. This white lady just racially harassed her own family's most important business partner. The comments section exploded. The irony is killing me. This is better than any movie Victoria just ended her own family's company. Maya Johnson is playing 4D chess. Phoenix Airlines is done. Sarah Mitchell, the flight attendant, looked like she wanted to disappear into the aircraft's floor. 15 years with Phoenix Airlines, and she'd never seen anything like this. Corporate policy was clear treat all passengers with respect, especially in first class. But Victoria Whitman was the chairman's daughter, and Sarah knew crossing the Whitman family could end her career. Miss Johnson, Sarah said carefully, I apologize for any confusion. Your seat assignment is absolutely correct. Is there anything I can get you to make your flight more comfortable? Victoria whirled on the flight attendant. Don't apologize to her. I want her removed from this aircraft immediately, ma'am. I can't remove a passenger with a valid ticket. Then find a reason, Victoria screamed. She's being disruptive. She's threatening me. She's making other passengers uncomfortable. The lies poured out of Victoria like poison. Maya watched with clinical fascination, recognizing the playbook of privileged people caught in wrongdoing, deny, deflect project. And when all else fails, play victim. Dr. Santos had seen enough. That's completely false, he said loudly. I'm a physician. I've been recording this entire incident, and Miss Johnson has been nothing but professional. You're the one being disruptive. Jennifer Walsh stood up again. Sarah, I'm a corporate attorney. This woman is creating a hostile environment based on racial bias. If Phoenix Airlines removes Miss Johnson from this flight, you're looking at a massive discrimination lawsuit. Victoria's desperation reached new heights. She doesn't belong here. Look at her clothes. Look at how she's dressed. First class has standards. The racist implications were no longer subtle. They were a sledgehammer. Victoria had dropped all pretense of civility, revealing the ugly truth beneath her polished exterior. Maya's phone buzzed with alerts. Her social media team was monitoring the situation remotely. Hashtag first class fight trending in 47 states. News outlets requesting statements. Stock implications significant. Maya typed back. Continue monitoring. No statements yet. Let truth speak for itself. Carlos's live stream hit 35,000 viewers. Major news outlets were embedding his feed into their websites. First Class Fight was trending alongside Racism on Flight and Maya Johnson. Victoria noticed the live stream for the first time. Turn that off, she demanded, lunging toward Carlos's phone. You can't film me without permission. Carlos pulled his phone away. Actually, I can. This is a public space, and I'm documenting discrimination. This isn't discrimination. This is property protection. This is my seat. No, said a calm voice from the back of first class. It's really not. Everyone turned. Captain James Brooks stood at the entrance to the cabin, his uniform crisp, his expression grave. 52 years old, 28 years with Phoenix Airlines, he'd seen every possible passenger conflict. But nothing like this. Captain Victoria said, relief flooding her voice. Thank God. Please remove this passenger. She's in my assigned seat. Captain Brooks looked at his tablet. Miss Whitman, According to our manifest, seat 2A is assigned to Maya Johnson. Your seat is 3B. Victoria's mouth fell open. 3B. That's impossible. I always sit in 2A. Seat assignments are based on booking confirmation and payment, not personal preference, Captain Brooks said firmly. Maya looked at her boarding pass, then at the captain's manifest. There seems to be confusion about Miss Whitman's seat. According to your system, what does it show? Captain Brooks consulted his tablet. Maya Johnson, seat 2A confirmed and paid. Victoria Whitman, seat 3B confirmed and paid. The truth was devastating in its simplicity. Victoria had been wrong from the beginning. She'd attacked Maya Johnson over a seat that was never hers to claim. But Victoria wasn't done fighting. That can't be right. Someone changed the assignments. This is sabotage. Maya pulled out her phone and opened her Quantum Link app. With a few taps, she accessed the Phoenix Airlines booking system, the same system her company had built and maintained. According to the reservation database, Maya said reading from her phone, Victoria Whitman booked seat 3B on March 15th at 2:47 p.m. I booked seat 2A on March 12th at 9:23 a.m. 3 days earlier. The timestamp evidence was irrefutable. Maya had legitimately booked the seat first. Victoria's last thread of justification snapped. She had no claim to the seat, no policy to cite, no procedure to hide behind. She'd spent 15 minutes racially harassing a passenger based on nothing but her own sense of entitlement. This is ridiculous, Victoria shouted. Fine. Keep the seat. But I'm not sitting next to her. She stormed toward seat 3B directly behind Maya. But as she approached the passenger in 3A, an elderly white businessman looked up with disgust. Ma'am, he said coldly, I watched this entire incident. I'd prefer not to sit next to someone who thinks it's acceptable to treat other passengers the way you just did. Victoria stopped dead. Even her natural allies, wealthy white travelers, were rejecting her behavior. Maya's phone buzzed. A message from her board of directors' emergency session called. Phoenix Airlines contract under review due to social media incident. Recommend immediate response. Maya typed back, stand by. Situation ongoing. The business implications were becoming clear. Quantum Link's board was seriously considering terminating their largest client contract. Phoenix Airlines could lose their essential flight management software over Victoria's racism. Dr. Santos approached Maya. Miss Johnson, as a witness to this incident, I want to ensure you're okay. Would you like me to document any medical effects of this harassment? Maya appreciated the concern, but she felt fine. Strong, actually. This was exactly why she'd built Quantum Link, to create accountability for discrimination, to make bias costly instead of convenient. I'm okay, Dr. Santos, but thank you for speaking up. Too often people witness discrimination and stay silent. Not anymore, Dr. Santos replied firmly. What happened here was wrong, and I won't pretend otherwise. Carlos's live stream was approaching 50,000 viewers. The comment section had become a torrent of support for Maya and outrage at Victoria. Maya Johnson is handling this with such grace. This is what strength looks like. Victoria is the worst kind of privileged racist. Phoenix Airlines needs to fire someone. Justice incoming in. 3, 2, 1. Victoria had found her way to seat 3B, but she wasn't sitting down. She stood in the aisle, phone pressed to her ear, voice urgent and panicked. Daddy, you need to fix this. The video is everywhere. People are saying terrible things about our family. Maya could hear Robert Whitman's voice through the phone. What video, Victoria? What exactly did you do? Victoria looked around at all the cameras recording her confession. I might have gotten into a small argument with a passenger, but she started it. She was in the wrong seat. The lie was so blatant that several passengers actually laughed out loud. Captain Brooks had been listening to the conversation while reviewing the situation. He made a decision. Miss Whitman, he said formally, based on what I've witnessed and the passenger complaints I've received, I need to inform you that your behavior is in violation of Phoenix Airlines passenger conduct policy. Victoria's face went pale. You can't be serious. Harassment of fellow passengers based on race is grounds for removal from the aircraft. I never mentioned race, Victoria protested. Jennifer Walsh pulled out her phone and started playing back a recording. Victoria's voice came through clearly. People like you don't sit in first class. There's a dress code up here. It's called People Who Actually Belong. Look at her clothes. She doesn't blend in. The evidence was damning. Victoria had repeatedly referenced Maya's appearance, her belongings, her type, all coded language for race and class discrimination. Maya watched Victoria's world collapse in real time. The privileged bubble that had protected her for 28 years was finally bursting. Social media had made discrimination impossible to hide. Impossible to spin, impossible to explain away. "This is insane," Victoria shouted. "I'm Robert Whitman's daughter. You can't treat me like this." Captain Brooks's expression hardened. "Miss Whitman, your father's position doesn't give you the right to harass other passengers. If anything, it makes your behavior more disappointing." Maya's phone buzzed with another message from her security team. Phoenix Airlines stock down 7% in after-hours trading. Media requests at 200 plus and climbing. Recommend statement soon. Maya stood up slowly. The entire cabin watched her movement, sensing that something significant was about to happen. Captain Brooks. Maya said clearly, "I appreciate your intervention, but I think it's time to resolve this situation completely." She looked around the cabin at all the recording devices, all the witnesses, all the evidence of what had transpired. "My name is Maya Johnson. I'm the CEO of Quantum Link Systems, and I'm about to ground this aircraft." Maya raised her phone, opened the emergency protocol Delta 7 interface, and placed her finger over the activation button. In approximately 90 seconds, she announced every Phoenix Airlines flight in the sky will receive a mandatory return to gate order. Not because I'm angry, not because I want revenge, but because this incident has revealed that Phoenix Airlines has a corporate culture problem that requires immediate attention. Victoria stared at Maya in absolute horror, finally understanding the magnitude of what she'd unleashed. Carlos's live stream exploded past 60,000 viewers as Maya Johnson prepared to shut down an entire airline over a stolen seat and the racism that tried to justify it. The countdown reached its final phase, 47 seconds, until the aviation industry changed forever. Maya Johnson's finger hovered over the emergency protocol Delta 7 button as memories flooded back. The weight of this moment, a young black woman about to ground an entire airline, carried the echoes of every injustice that had shaped her journey. Suddenly, she was 16 again, standing in Detroit Metropolitan Airport, watching her grandmother's funeral end without her. October 15th, 2021, Detroit, Metropolitan Airport. The gate agent, a middle-aged white woman with tired eyes and bureaucratic authority, looked at Maya's ticket like it was contaminated. "Computer shows this was purchased with a stolen credit card." "That's impossible," 16-year-old Maya had said, her voice shaking but determined. "I saved for 3 months to buy this ticket. It's my grandmother's funeral. Honey, I've been working here for 12 years. I know fraud when I see it." The agent's voice dripped with condescension. "A teenager with a one-way ticket to Phoenix paying cash. That's textbook suspicious activity." Maya had pulled out her ID, her bank statements, even her grandmother's obituary from the Detroit Free Press. None of it mattered. The agent saw a young black girl traveling alone and made assumptions that destroyed Maya's chance to say goodbye. Security arrived 2 officers who treated Maya like a criminal instead of a grieving granddaughter. 6 hours of investigation, while flights to Phoenix departed every 30 minutes. By the time they cleared her, the funeral was over. Maya stood in the airport bathroom afterwards, staring at her reflection in the harsh fluorescent lighting. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. "Baby girl, when the world tries to break you, you build something stronger in the broken places." That night, in her aunt's garage, Maya began coding the system that would eventually become Quantum Link. Present day, Phoenix Airlines Flight 492. Maya. Dr. Santos's gentle voice brought her back to the present. "Are you all right?" Maya blinked, realizing she'd been lost in memory for several seconds. Around her, the cabin remained frozen in tension, cameras recording passengers holding their breath. "I'm fine," Maya said softly. just remembering why this matters. Victoria Whitman was on the phone with her father, her voice a panicked whisper. "She's threatening to ground our entire airline. You have to stop her." Robert Whitman's voice carried through the phone. "Victoria? Who exactly are you talking about?" "Some girl, Maya Johnson. She claims she's Maya Johnson." Robert Whitman's voice shifted from confusion to alarm. "Victoria, please tell me you didn't do anything to upset Maya Johnson. I just asked her to move to the correct seat." "She was Victoria." The roar through the phone made several passengers jump. "Maya Johnson is the CEO of Quantum Link Systems. We pay her company $47 million annually. Without her software, our entire flight operation shuts down. Please tell me you were polite to her." Victoria's face went white as fresh snow. "Daddy," she whispered, "I think I made a mistake." Maya almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But Maya remembered every passenger who'd been removed from flights due to computer errors, every family separated by algorithmic bias, every person denied basic dignity because they didn't look right to someone in authority. December 2022, Maya's first $1 million deal. "You're telling me this software can completely eliminate discriminatory booking practices?" The CEO of Midwest Regional Airlines had been skeptical. A 53-year-old white man in a $5,000 suit talking to an 18-year-old black woman in jeans and a t-shirt. Not eliminate, Maya had corrected. Expose. My system doesn't prevent bias, it makes bias impossible to hide. She'd demonstrated how Quantum Link tracked every decision, every override, every computer error that removed legitimate passengers from flights. The pattern recognition was devastating. Minority passengers were 340% more likely to experience glitches that cost them their seats. When your employees can't hide their prejudice behind technology, Maya had explained, they tend to behave better. Midwest Regional signed the contract that same day. Within 6 months, their discrimination complaints dropped to 0. Not because they'd eliminated bias, but because they'd made bias costly. Present day. Phoenix Airlines Flight 492. Maya's phone buzzed with an encrypted message from her CTO emergency board meeting in session. News media camping outside headquarters. Bloomberg, CNN, Wall Street Journal, all requesting statements. "How do you want to handle Maya?" typed back. "Let them wait. Truth, first spin, never." Carlos's live stream had reached 78,000 viewers. The hashtag #FirstClassFight was trending worldwide. Comments poured in faster than anyone could read. Maya Johnson is a legend. This is how you handle racism in 2024. Phoenix Airlines is finished. Victoria thought she could hide behind "Daddy ground the plane." Ground the plane. Captain Brooks approached Maya's seat, his expression grave. "Miss Johnson, I need to ask, are you actually planning to activate that emergency protocol?" Maya looked at him thoughtfully. "Captain, in your 28 years with Phoenix Airlines, how many incidents like this have you witnessed?" "More than I care to admit," he said honestly. "And how many times has anyone faced real consequences?" Captain Brooks was quiet for a long moment. "Not nearly enough. That's why this matters," Maya said. "Systems don't change until the cost of staying the same becomes unbearable." Victoria had finished her phone call with her father. She approached Maya's seat, her designer confidence replaced by desperate fear. "Look," Victoria said, her voice shaking. "Maybe we got off on the wrong foot. I was having a bad day and I might have said some things. You racially profiled me," Maya said calmly. "You demanded I be removed from a seat I legitimately purchased. You threatened to have me arrested. You told everyone in this cabin that people like me don't belong in first class." "I never said anything about race." Dr. Santos held up his phone, cued to a video recording. "Would you like me to play it back?" Victoria's shoulders sagged in defeat. Maya's phone buzzed again. This time it was a direct message from Robert Whitman. "Miss Johnson, this is Robert Whitman, chairman of Phoenix Airlines. I'm calling an emergency board meeting to address this situation. Please accept my personal apology for my daughter's inexcusable behavior." Maya showed the message to Captain Brooks. "Your chairman wants to apologize. What are you going to tell him?" Captain Brooks asked. Maya considered the question. Quantum Link had transformed the aviation industry by making discrimination expensive. But real change required more than software. It required accountability at every level. February 2023. The Phoenix Airlines contract. Miss Johnson. Robert Whitman had said during their first meeting, Phoenix Airlines is committed to becoming the most inclusive airline in the industry. We want your help making that happen. Maya had studied Phoenix Airlines discrimination data for weeks. The patterns were clear: minority passengers faced random additional security screenings, 280% more often than white passengers. Computer glitches disproportionately affected travelers with ethnic names. Weather delays seemed to target flights from predominantly Black and Latino cities. Mr. Whitman Maya had said, inclusion isn't a marketing campaign. It's an operational commitment. Are you prepared to change how your company actually functions, not just how it talks? Absolutely, Robert Whitman had promised. That promise was being tested right now, 35,000 feet above the ground. Present day, Phoenix Airlines Flight 492. Maya typed a response to Robert Whitman. Your daughter's behavior reflects your company's culture. Words aren't enough anymore. I need to see action. She hit send, then looked around the cabin. Passengers were still recording, still watching, still waiting to see what justice looked like in real time. Jennifer Walsh cleared her throat. Maya, I've been in corporate law for 15 years. I've seen discrimination cases settled quietly, swept under the rug, forgotten by the next news cycle. What you're doing right now, this transparency, this accountability, it's revolutionary. Maya nodded. That's the point. Discrimination thrives in darkness. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Victoria made one last desperate attempt to save face. This is all a misunderstanding. I wasn't being racist. I was protecting first-class standards. Standards, Maya repeated. Tell me, Victoria, what exactly are the standards for sitting in first class? Well, people should be appropriately dressed. I'm wearing clean clothes that fit properly. Check. And they should have the means to afford. I'm worth $3.8 billion. Check. And they should understand proper airline etiquette. I've flown over 200,000 miles in the past 3 years. Check. Victoria struggled for another criterion. People should look professional. Ah, Maya said. Now we're getting to the truth. I should look like your definition of professional, which means what exactly Victoria couldn't answer without revealing her racism explicitly. Maya's phone buzzed with another message from her security team FAA monitoring situation, requesting explanation for potential emergency protocol activation. Maya smiled. Even the Federal Aviation Administration was paying attention. The stakes were rising by the minute. You know what Victoria, Maya said, standing up slowly. I'm going to teach you something about power. Real power doesn't announce itself with designer clothes and family connections. Real power builds systems that outlast individual prejudice. She gestured around the cabin. Every person here is recording this moment. In 1 hour, this video will have 1 million views. In 24 hours, Phoenix Airlines will be a case study in how not to treat customers. Your father's company will spend years rebuilding trust you destroyed in 15 minutes. Victoria began to cry, not from sadness, but from the dawning realization of what she'd unleashed. But here's what you don't understand, Maya continued. I don't want to destroy your family's company. I want to save it. From people like you. Maya looked at her phone one more time. Emergency Protocol Delta 7 waited for her decision. With one tap, she could ground 847 aircraft, strand hundreds of thousands of passengers, and cost Phoenix Airlines tens of millions of dollars. Or she could choose a different kind of justice. Maya looked directly into Carlos's live stream camera, knowing her words would reach millions of viewers around the world. Change doesn't come from punishment, she said clearly. It comes from accountability. Let's see if Phoenix Airlines is ready to be accountable. Her finger moved toward the emergency protocol button as the entire aviation industry held its breath. 37 seconds until everything changed. Maya Johnson's finger touched the emergency protocol Delta 7 button. The screen lit up with a warning message. Caution. This action will ground all Phoenix Airlines aircraft worldwide. Confirm authorization code. Carlos's live stream hit 127,000 viewers. The comment section moved so fast it was just a blur of excitement and anticipation. News outlets had embedded his feed. CNN was preparing breaking news alerts. The Wall Street Journal was drafting headlines about the aviation industry's youngest CEO bringing down a major airline. Maya typed her authorization code MJ Quantum 2024 Justice. Authorization accepted, the screen displayed. Emergency Protocol Delta 7 ready for activation. All Phoenix Airlines aircraft will receive immediate return to gate orders. Estimated operational impact $47 million per hour. Victoria Whitman watched the screen with growing horror. You can't be serious. You can't actually shut down an entire airline. Maya looked at her with something approaching pity. Victoria, you've spent the last 20 minutes learning what I'm capable of. Did you think I was bluffing? Captain Brooks received an urgent message on his communication device. He read it quickly, then looked at Maya with new understanding. Miss Johnson, I just received word from Phoenix Airlines Operations Center. They're asking me to personally ensure your comfort for the remainder of this flight. Maya almost laughed. They're scared. They should be. Captain Brooks replied honestly. Dr. Santos had been quietly documenting the entire interaction. Maya, as a physician, I have to say I've never seen anyone handle this level of harassment with such composure. You're demonstrating exactly the kind of leadership this industry needs. Jennifer Walsh nodded emphatically. I'm posting about this incident on LinkedIn. Corporate America needs to see what accountability looks like in real time. Maya's phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. She looked at the caller ID Robert Whitman, Phoenix Airlines chairman. The cabin fell silent as Maya answered. Hello, Mr. Whitman. Robert Whitman's voice was strained, desperate. Miss Johnson, first let me apologize personally and on behalf of Phoenix Airlines for my daughter's inexcusable behavior. Apology noted, Maya said coolly. I'm calling to ask to beg, please don't activate that emergency protocol. We can resolve this situation. We can make this right. Maya put the call on speaker so the entire cabin could hear. Carlos adjusted his live stream to capture the conversation. Mr. Whitman, your daughter spent the last 20 minutes telling me I don't belong in first class. She demanded I be removed from the aircraft. She threatened to have me arrested. She told 150,000 people watching live that people like me aren't welcome on your airline. Robert Whitman's voice broke slightly. I know. I've been watching the live stream. Victoria's behavior is unacceptable and doesn't represent Phoenix Airlines' values. Doesn't it? Maya asked pointedly. Because your own data shows minority passengers are 340% more likely to experience errors that cost them their seats. Your employees receive bonus points for identifying suspicious passengers, and somehow those passengers are disproportionately Black and Latino. The statistical evidence was devastating. Maya had access to every piece of data Phoenix Airlines had tried to hide. We're addressing those issues, Robert Whitman said weakly. When Maya demanded, You've been addressing them for 18 months. How many more passengers need to be humiliated while you're addressing them? Victoria tried to grab the phone from Maya. Daddy, she's trying to destroy our company. She's threatening us. Maya pulled the phone away easily. Mr. Whitman, your daughter is still lying. I haven't threatened anyone. I've simply informed them of my capabilities. Carlos's live stream audience was going wild. Maya is dismantling them. This is better than any movie. Robert Whitman sounds scared. Phoenix Airlines is done. She's got the receipts. Robert Whitman tried a different approach. Miss Johnson, please, think about the passengers. If you ground our fleet, you'll strand hundreds of thousands of innocent travelers. Maya had been expecting this argument. Mr. Whitman, how many innocent travelers has your company already stranded due to discriminatory practices? How many families missed funerals, weddings, medical appointments because your employees decided they looked suspicious? The moral arithmetic was clear: short-term inconvenience to force long-term change. Maya's phone displayed another message from her board, stock market responding. Phoenix Airlines down 12%. Quantum Link up 8%. Media requests at 500 plus. Department of Transportation requesting statement. The ripple effects were spreading beyond aviation. This was becoming a broader conversation about corporate accountability, technological power, and racial justice. "I'll make you a counteroffer, Mr. Whitman," Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the phone in Carlos's live stream. "I'll cancel the emergency protocol under 3 conditions. Anything Robert Whitman said immediately. First, Victoria Whitman is permanently banned from all Phoenix Airlines flights and properties. She doesn't get to represent your company anymore." Victoria gasped. "You can't do that. It's my family's company." Maya ignored her. Second, Phoenix Airlines implements the Quantum Link bias detection system across all customer touchpoints within 60 days. No more random additional screenings that mysteriously target minorities. "Agreed," Robert Whitman said quickly. Third, Phoenix Airlines establishes a $50 million fund for aviation scholarships, specifically for underrepresented students. Money to be administered independently, not as a marketing campaign. The demands were swift, specific, and designed for maximum impact. Not just punishment for Victoria, but structural changes to prevent future incidents. Miss Johnson Robert Whitman said carefully, "Those are significant demands, Mr. Whitman. Your daughter just cost you the most important business relationship in your company's history. These demands are mercy." Captain Brooks received another urgent communication. He listened through his headset, then approached Maya's seat. "Miss Johnson, I've just been informed that the FAA is monitoring the situation. They're concerned about the potential for mass flight disruptions." Maya nodded thoughtfully. "Captain, do you think the FAA should be more concerned about flight disruptions or about the discrimination that led to this moment?" It was a question that cut to the heart of priorities. What mattered more, operational convenience or human dignity? Dr. Santos spoke up. "If I may, the medical research is clear discrimination causes measurable psychological harm. The stress Maya experienced during this harassment has actual physiological effects. This isn't just about hurt feelings, it's about health and safety," Jennifer Walsh added. "From a legal perspective, what we witnessed here violates multiple federal anti-discrimination laws. Maya would have grounds for a substantial lawsuit if she chose to pursue it." The expert testimonies were building a case in real-time broadcast to hundreds of thousands of viewers. Maya looked at her phone screen. Emergency Protocol Delta 7 was still ready to activate. One tap would ground 847 aircraft, making international headlines and sending shockwaves through the industry. But Maya had learned something in building Quantum Link. The most powerful move isn't always the most dramatic one. "Mr. Whitman," she said into the phone, "I'm going to give you a choice. You have 60 seconds to accept my 3 conditions. If you do, I'll cancel the emergency protocol and we'll continue this conversation after we land in Phoenix. And if I don't accept," Robert Whitman asked. Maya smiled grimly. "Then in 61 seconds, every Phoenix Airlines flight in the world receives a mandatory return-to-gate order. Your stock price crashes. Your operations shut down. And you spend the next 6 months explaining to shareholders why your daughter's racism was worth losing your largest vendor contract." The ultimatum was crystal clear. Robert Whitman could save his company by holding his daughter accountable, or he could watch everything burn for the sake of family loyalty. Carlos's live stream hit 200,000 viewers. First Class Fight was trending globally. News outlets were preparing breaking news segments. 45 seconds, Mr. Whitman, Maya announced. Victoria was crying openly now, finally understanding the magnitude of what she'd unleashed. "Daddy, please. You can't let her destroy our family." Victoria Robert Whitman's voice was heavy with disappointment. "You destroyed our family the moment you decided to racially harass our most important business partner." 30 seconds. Maya continued the countdown. Dr. Santos leaned forward. "Maya, regardless of what he decides, I want you to know that watching you handle this situation has been inspiring. You're showing millions of people what strength under pressure looks like." 15 seconds. Jennifer Walsh held up her phone. "I've got 23 colleagues watching this live stream. The legal community is going to study this case for years." 10 seconds. Victoria made one last, desperate plea. "Maya, please. I'm sorry. I'll apologize publicly. I'll make it right." Maya looked at her steadily. "Victoria, apologies don't undo 20 minutes of racial harassment broadcast to the world. Actions have consequences. 5 seconds." Robert Whitman's voice came through the phone, defeated but decisive. "I accept all 3 conditions." Maya paused, her finger hovering over the activation button. Around her, the cabin held its breath. 200,000 live stream viewers waited for her decision. "Smart choice, Mr. Whitman," Maya said finally. She closed the emergency protocol app and opened her regular Quantum Link dashboard. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced to the cabin and Carlos's audience, "Phoenix Airlines will remain operational today, but change is coming whether they're ready or not." The collective exhale from the cabin was audible. Victoria collapsed into seat 3B, emotionally drained. Captain Brooks looked relieved. Dr. Santos smiled with admiration. Jennifer Walsh was already typing furiously on her phone, but Maya Johnson wasn't finished. She had one more card to play. "Carlos," she said, looking directly into the live stream camera. "Are you still recording?" "Yes, ma'am," Carlos replied. Maya stood up, her voice carrying clearly through the cabin and across the internet to hundreds of thousands of viewers worldwide. "My name is Maya Johnson. I'm 19 years old. I'm the CEO of Quantum Link Systems. And what you just witnessed isn't unusual, it's typical. Every day, passengers are removed from flights denied services or treated as criminals because they don't look like someone's idea of who belongs in premium spaces." Her voice grew stronger. But today was different. Today, discrimination was documented broadcast and met with immediate consequences. This is what accountability looks like in the digital age. Maya gestured around the cabin. Change doesn't happen because people suddenly become less prejudiced. Change happens because prejudice becomes too expensive to maintain. The live stream audience was captivated. Maya Johnson for president. This speech is everything. She's changing the world in real time. Phoenix Airlines will never recover. Maya concluded her impromptu address to anyone watching who's ever been told they don't belong somewhere. They've earned the right to be. Your dignity is not negotiable. Your presence in these spaces matters. And when people try to diminish you, remember sometimes the quiet person in the hoodie is the one with the power to ground an entire airline. Carlos's live stream peaked at 247,000 simultaneous viewers as Maya Johnson sat back down in seat 2A, the seat that had started it all, and the seat that would forever symbolize what happens when quiet strength meets digital accountability. The flight continued toward Phoenix, but the aviation industry would never be the same. The cabin of Phoenix Airlines Flight 492 buzzed with nervous energy as passengers absorbed what they'd just witnessed. Maya Johnson had single-handedly prevented a corporate crisis while simultaneously creating one depending on your perspective. Captain Brooks received an urgent communication through his headset. His expression grew increasingly grave as he listened. Finally, he approached Maya's seat. "Miss Johnson, I've been instructed by Phoenix Airlines operations to personally ensure your comfort for the remainder of this flight. I've also been asked to inform you that Chairman Whitman will meet us at the gate in Phoenix." Maya nodded calmly. "I expected as much." Victoria Whitman sat slumped in seat 3B, staring at her phone in horror. Her social media accounts were exploding with notifications. Her Instagram, where she'd built 340,000 followers posting about luxury travel and lifestyle content, was being flooded with comments. "Racist. Your privilege is showing. This is why we need accountability. How does it feel to be exposed?" Maya Johnson ended your whole career. Her Twitter mentions were even worse. The hashtag Victoria Whitman Racist was trending alongside First Class Fight. Video clips of her worst moments were being shared thousands of times per minute. Carlos Rivera was experiencing the opposite phenomenon. His live stream had peaked at 247,000 viewers, and his follower count was climbing exponentially. Major news outlets were requesting permission to use his footage. CNN had already sent him a direct message about potential employment opportunities. "Yo, chat," Carlos whispered to his phone. "I think I just documented the most important flight in aviation history." The comment section agreed. Carlos, you're about to be famous. This footage is Pulitzer Prize material. You just changed journalism forever. Hire this man. CNN Dr. Santos was composing a detailed medical report on his tablet. As a physician, he understood the psychological impact of public racial harassment. He was documenting Maya's responses, Victoria's escalation patterns, and the physiological stress indicators he'd observed. Maya, he said quietly, I'm writing this up as a case study in dignity under pressure. The way you handled this situation should be taught in conflict resolution courses. Jennifer Walsh was busy on LinkedIn where her post about the incident was going viral in professional circles. I just witnessed 19-year-old Maya Johnson, CEO of Quantum Link Systems, handle racial harassment with more grace and strategic thinking than most Fortune 500 executives manage in corporate crises. This is what real leadership looks like. Hashtag accountability matters. Hashtag first class fight. The post had already received 15,000 reactions and 800 comments from business leaders, civil rights advocates, and aviation professionals. Maya's phone was buzzing constantly with messages from her CFO, stock up 12%. Business development requests up 400%. Board recommends immediate media strategy. From her head of communications, 60 media requests and counting. New York Times, Wall Street Journal, BBC. All want exclusive interviews. How do you want to handle? From her personal attorney, outstanding work. Victoria Whitman's harassment was clearly documented. You have grounds for substantial legal action if desired. Maya typed responses quickly. No interviews today. Let the footage speak for itself. Monitor stock movement, but no statements until after Phoenix meeting. Legal action unnecessary. Public accountability achieved. She looked around the cabin, noting how the dynamic had completely shifted. Passengers who had initially been neutral observers were now actively supportive. The elderly businessman in 3A had moved to a different row entirely, stating he refused to sit near Victoria. A woman from economy class had been quietly upgraded to fill the empty seat, and she kept glancing at Maya with obvious admiration. Sarah Mitchell, the flight attendant, approached Maya's seat with obvious nervousness. Miss Johnson, I want to personally apologize for my initial response to this situation. I should have acted more professionally. Maya looked at her thoughtfully. Sarah, you were in an impossible position. Victoria Whitman is the chairman's daughter, and you were trying to keep your job. I understand that. That doesn't make it right, Sarah replied. I've been with Phoenix Airlines for 15 years, and I've seen incidents like this before. I usually stayed quiet because speaking up felt risky. Maya nodded. That's exactly why change is necessary. Employees shouldn't have to choose between their conscience and their paycheck. Sarah's confession was being captured by multiple recording devices, adding another layer to the story. Her words represented countless airline employees who had witnessed discrimination but felt powerless to intervene. Miss Johnson, Sarah continued, I want you to know that many of us have been hoping someone would finally hold the company accountable. What you did today, standing up like that, it gives the rest of us courage. Maya smiled. Sarah, you always had that courage. You just needed permission to use it. Victoria's phone rang. She answered with a shaking voice. Hello, Victoria, it's Mom. I just saw the video. What have you done? Margaret Whitman's voice carried clearly through the phone, and passengers nearby couldn't help but overhear. Mom, it's not as bad as it looks. Not as bad. Victoria, you racially harassed our largest vendor's CEO on live television. Your father is in emergency meetings trying to save the company. The family dynamics were playing out publicly, adding a human element to the corporate crisis. The video has 4 million views already, Margaret continued. Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, they're all covering this. The Phoenix Airlines stock price is in free fall. Victoria looked at her phone. Phoenix Airlines stock was down 18% and still dropping. The market was responding to the reputational damage in real time. Maya received a text from an unknown number. Miss Johnson, this is Robert Whitman. I'm personally flying to Phoenix to meet you at the gate. Please give me the opportunity to make this right. Maya showed the message to Captain Brooks. Your chairman is very motivated to resolve this situation. He should be, Captain Brooks replied. In 30 years of flying, I've never seen anything quite like this. Dr. Santos had finished his medical documentation. Maya, I've noted that throughout this entire incident you showed no signs of the fight or flight response most people experience under severe stress. Your heart rate remained stable, your speech patterns stayed consistent, your decision-making was clear and strategic. That's remarkable. Maya appreciated the clinical validation. Dr. Santos. I learned early that emotional reactions to discrimination usually make the situation worse. Staying calm gives you more options. That's wisdom beyond your years, Dr. Santos replied. Carlos was still live streaming, but his viewer count had stabilized around 150,000 as the dramatic confrontation phase ended. He was now providing commentary and reading viewer questions. Someone asked if Maya planned this. Absolutely not. You can see she was just trying to travel in peace. But when discrimination happened, she responded with incredible strategic thinking. Another viewer wants to know about Victoria's consequences. Well, she's been publicly exposed, banned from Phoenix Airlines, and her family's company is in crisis. Those seem like pretty significant consequences. Maya's phone buzzed with a message from her security team, media helicopters circling Phoenix Sky Harbor. Estimated 200-plus reporters at gate. Recommend private ground transport post-arrival. Maya typed back, negative. I'll walk through that airport like any other passenger. Transparency matters. Jennifer Walsh had been monitoring social media trends. Maya, the response has been overwhelmingly supportive. I'm seeing solidarity posts from celebrities, civil rights leaders, tech executives. You've tapped into something bigger than this specific incident. Maya nodded. This was never about one racist passenger. It's about accountability in industries that have avoided consequences for too long. The flight crew was performing pre-landing preparations, but the energy in the cabin remained electric. Passengers were still recording, still posting, still processing what they'd witnessed. A young black woman from economy class approached Maya's seat during the seatbelt check. Excuse me, Miss Johnson. I just wanted to say thank you. I've experienced discrimination on flights before, but I never knew how to fight back. Watching you today, it showed me what's possible. Maya stood up and gave the woman a brief hug. What's your name, Keisha? I'm a nursing student. Keisha, remember this moment. Remember that your dignity is not up for debate. And remember that sometimes the most powerful response to injustice is refusing to be moved from where you belong. The interaction was captured on multiple phones, creating another viral moment of solidarity and empowerment. Victoria was having a very different conversation. Her phone was ringing continuously, friends, relatives, and business associates all wanting to know what had happened. Each conversation was more painful than the last. Victoria. I saw the video. I can't believe you said those things. Victoria. My company is reconsidering our partnership with Phoenix Airlines because of this. Victoria. You need crisis management help immediately. The personal and professional costs were mounting by the minute. Captain Brooks announced over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our descent into Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. I want to personally acknowledge that today's flight was unusual, and I commend the passengers who stood up for what was right. The announcement was subtle but significant. A Phoenix Airlines captain was publicly supporting Maya's position. As the aircraft descended through the Arizona sunset, Maya looked out the window at the approaching lights of Phoenix. Below her, the city sparkled with possibility and promise. She thought about her grandmother, who had dreamed of a world where her granddaughter could travel anywhere without fear of discrimination. Maya's phone showed one final message from her board of directors, emergency shareholder meeting scheduled. Unanimous support for your handling of situation. Quantum Link stock at all-time high. The industry is watching. The plane touched down smoothly at Phoenix Sky Harbor. As they taxied toward the gate, passengers could see the crowds of media waiting outside. News trucks lined the terminal. Reporters held cameras and microphones. The story had grown far beyond a single flight. Captain Brooks's voice came over the intercom one final time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Phoenix. Please remain seated until the aircraft comes to a complete stop. And remember, every passenger deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Maya Johnson was about to step off Flight 492 and into history. The shy teenager who had been denied a seat at her grandmother's funeral was now the powerful CEO who had grounded an industry's assumptions about power privilege and accountability. Victoria Whitman would also exit the aircraft, but into a very different future. Her 28 years of unchallenged privilege were over. Her family's company faced an existential crisis, and her personal reputation was destroyed beyond repair. The doors opened, and the consequences of discrimination finally decisively came home to roost. 6 months after Flight 492, Maya Johnson stood at the gate of Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, watching passengers board another Phoenix Airlines flight. But everything was different now. The airline she was about to board bore little resemblance to the company that had nearly imploded on that viral Tuesday evening. Gone were the subtle discriminatory practices, the random additional screenings, the mysterious computer glitches that somehow always affected minority passengers. In their place was an accountability structure that had become the gold standard for the aviation industry. Maya wore the same gray hoodie and worn sneakers that had sparked the confrontation 6 months earlier. Not because she couldn't afford better clothes, but because comfort mattered more than appearance. More importantly, because she'd proven that power didn't require a dress code. "Miss Johnson." A young voice interrupted her thoughts. Maya turned to see Amanda Rivera, 18 years old, wearing a crisp Phoenix Airlines uniform with first officer stripes. Amanda had been the first recipient of the Wings of Equality Scholarship Program, the $50 million fund that Robert Whitman had established as part of Maya's ultimatum. Maya smiled warmly. "How's flight training going?" "I graduate next month." Amanda beamed. "Captain Brooks recommended me for the fast-track program. I'll be co-piloting regional flights by Christmas." The conversation was being overheard by other passengers, but nobody was recording with malicious intent. The story had moved beyond viral sensation into institutional change. Maya was no longer a curiosity. She was simply another passenger. "Miss Johnson," the gate agent said respectfully, "we're ready for early boarding. Your seat is prepared." Maya nodded and gathered her simple backpack. As she walked down the jet bridge, she reflected on everything that had changed since that confrontational evening. Robert Whitman had met Maya at the gate that Tuesday night, surrounded by media chaos and corporate crisis managers. His apology was public-specific and accompanied by immediate action. Victoria Whitman was not only banned from Phoenix Airlines, she had been quietly removed from all family business interests and enrolled in mandatory bias training. "Miss Johnson," he had said in front of rolling cameras, "my daughter's behavior was inexcusable and does not represent the values Phoenix Airlines strives to embody. We will implement every change you've requested, and more." The media frenzy lasted for weeks. Maya gave exactly one interview, a thoughtful conversation with Anderson Cooper, where she focused not on punishment, but on progress. "Accountability isn't about revenge," she had told Cooper. "It's about creating systems where discrimination becomes impossible to hide and too expensive to maintain." Within 90 days, 7 major airlines had implemented Quantum Link's bias detection system. The technology was remarkably simple. It tracked every passenger interaction, every random screening, every computer error that affected bookings. Patterns became visible immediately. The results were stunning. American Airlines discovered their random security screenings targeted Latino passengers 340% more often than statistical probability would suggest. Delta found that weather delays disproportionately affected flights from predominantly black cities. United realized their overbooking algorithms mysteriously selected minority passengers for removal at 3 times the expected rate. Each airline faced a choice: address the bias or lose their Quantum Link software contracts. Everyone chose change. Maya's company had grown from a $7 billion valuation to $12 billion in 6 months. Not because of the viral fame, but because discrimination detection had become essential for any company serving diverse customers. Victoria Whitman's fall from privilege had been swift and complete. Her social media influencer career evaporated overnight. Luxury brands canceled sponsorship deals. Travel companies revoked partnership agreements. Her trust fund remained frozen pending completion of bias training and community service requirements. But something unexpected had happened during Victoria's mandated volunteer work at a homeless shelter in downtown Phoenix. Stripped of her wealth and status, forced to interact with people she'd previously ignored, Victoria began to understand the human cost of the prejudice she'd weaponized. I spent 28 years believing I was better than other people she had written in a public letter posted 6 months after the incident. I used my family's money and status as proof of my worth while diminishing others based on their appearance. I was wrong, and I'm committed to becoming better. The letter received mixed reactions. Many people remained skeptical of Victoria's transformation. Others praised her willingness to acknowledge fault. Maya herself had remained diplomatically quiet about Victoria's rehabilitation. Phoenix Airlines had become an accidental leader in industry reform. Robert Whitman, faced with potential corporate extinction, had embraced change with remarkable thoroughness. The airline now required quarterly bias audits for all customer-facing employees. Any staff member showing patterns of discriminatory behavior faced immediate retraining or termination. Promotion decisions included diversity metrics. Customer complaint patterns were analyzed for racial and ethnic bias. Most importantly, Phoenix Airlines had created an independent passenger advocacy office staffed by civil rights attorneys and empowered to investigate discrimination complaints in real time. Other airlines watching Phoenix Airlines' successful transition began voluntarily implementing similar programs. The industry was changing not because executives suddenly became more moral, but because bias had become a measurable business risk. Maya boarded Flight 847 to Los Angeles, where she would speak at a tech conference about algorithmic accountability. Her hoodie drew curious glances from passengers who recognized her, but the atmosphere was respectful rather than sensational. She settled into Seat 2A, the same seat designation that had sparked everything. The flight attendant, a middle-aged Hispanic woman named Rosa, approached with genuine warmth. "Miss Johnson, welcome aboard. Can I get you anything before takeoff? Just water, please. And Rosa, thank you for creating an environment where everyone feels welcome." Rosa beamed. "That's our job now. Really our job, not just our slogan." Maya opened her laptop and began reviewing her speech for tomorrow's conference. Her presentation was titled Digital Accountability: How Technology Can End Discrimination in Real Time. A passenger in Seat 1C leaned over an older black businessman who looked familiar. "Excuse me, you're Maya Johnson, right?" "From Quantum Link." Maya nodded politely. "I'm Marcus Williams, CEO of Williams Financial Group. I just wanted to say thank you. My daughter is 16 and she watched your video about 50 times. She's applying for computer science programs now because she saw what's possible when young women take control of technology." Maya smiled. "That's wonderful. What's her name? Zara? She's brilliant like you." "Then the industry better get ready for her," Maya replied. The conversation represented something profound. Maya's confrontation with discrimination had rippled outward, inspiring a new generation of young women, particularly women of color, to pursue technology careers. As Flight 847 took off, Maya noticed details that would have been impossible 6 months earlier. The cabin crew included 5 different ethnicities. The passenger manifest, which she could access through her Quantum Link app, showed statistical diversity that matched national demographics rather than historical airline patterns. More importantly, she observed interactions that reflected genuine respect rather than performative inclusion. When an elderly Sikh passenger requested assistance with his luggage, crew members helped immediately without additional screening questions. A young Muslim woman traveling with her infant received extra support without suspicious scrutiny. These weren't coincidental improvements. They were the result of training accountability systems and cultural change that started with consequences for discrimination. Maya's phone buzzed with a message from her CTO bias detection system, now live at 847 companies across 23 industries. Banking, healthcare, retail, education, all requesting implementation. Revenue projections revised upward 400%. The technology that had begun as airline discrimination prevention was transforming entire sectors of the economy. Banks were discovering that loan rejection algorithms disproportionately targeted minority applicants. Healthcare systems realized their diagnostic protocols contained gender and racial biases. Retail companies found their security protocols unfairly targeted customers of color. Each implementation created the same choice: address the bias or face public exposure. Discrimination was becoming too risky to maintain. As the flight reached cruising altitude, Maya opened her messages to find hundreds of notes from passengers, employees, and executives across the aviation industry. "You gave me the courage to file a discrimination complaint against my airline. They're changing their policies now. Our company implemented your bias detection system. We discovered problems we never knew existed. Thank you. My daughter watched your video and decided to study computer science. She says she wants to build technology that helps people like you did." Maya didn't respond to every message, but she read them all. Each one reminded her that individual moments of courage could create lasting institutional change. 3 hours into the flight to Los Angeles, Maya began drafting her conference presentation. Her core message was simple but revolutionary. Technology can eliminate bias, but only if we have the courage to look at what the data reveals about ourselves. She wrote about the aviation industry's transformation, about the ripple effects across other sectors, about the next generation of diverse leaders entering technology fields. But mostly, she wrote about dignity. Every person deserves to travel, work, learn, and live without facing discrimination based on their appearance. Her draft concluded, "Technology can't eliminate human prejudice, but it can make prejudice transparent, documented, and costly. When bias becomes visible, accountability becomes possible." Flight 847 landed at Los Angeles International Airport without incident. As passengers deplaned, several approached Maya to express gratitude, share their own discrimination stories, or simply acknowledge her impact. Maya walked through LAX like any other traveler. No special security, no VIP treatment, no entourage. But everywhere she looked, she saw signs of change. Diverse airline staff, equitable security procedures, and most importantly, an atmosphere where every passenger seemed to belong. At the baggage claim, she encountered a young black woman about her age wearing a pilot's uniform with Phoenix Airlines wings. "Miss Johnson, I'm Captain Shanice Thompson. I wanted to thank you for the Wings of Equality scholarship. It changed my life." Maya's eyes widened. "You're a captain already, fast-tracked through the program. Phoenix Airlines is committed to developing diverse leadership quickly." Shanice smiled. "Your confrontation on Flight 492 didn't just change passenger treatment, it changed career opportunities." The conversation reminded Maya that accountability created positive change far beyond its immediate scope. 6 months after her viral confrontation, Maya Johnson had transformed from a discrimination victim into an industry change agent. But her greatest achievement wasn't the technology, the business success, or even the policy changes. Her greatest achievement was proving that dignity was non-negotiable. That quiet strength could move mountains. That young people, especially young women of color, could use intelligence, courage, and strategic thinking to reshape entire industries. As Maya collected her luggage and headed toward the airport exit, she passed a young girl, maybe 8 years old, wearing a hoodie and sneakers remarkably similar to her own outfit from Flight 492. The girl's mother noticed Maya and whispered to her daughter, "That's Maya Johnson. She's the woman who proved that how you dress doesn't determine what you can accomplish." The girl looked up at Maya with wonder and determination in her eyes. Maya knelt down to the girl's level. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Amara. I want to be a CEO like you." Maya smiled gently. "Amara, you can be anything you want to be. And when people try to tell you that you don't belong somewhere, remember, your seat in life isn't determined by other people's opinions. It's determined by your own courage to claim what you've earned." The girl nodded seriously, absorbing the lesson. Maya stood up, shouldered her simple backpack, and walked into the Los Angeles afternoon. Behind her, the aviation industry continued its transformation. Ahead of her, a speech that would inspire the next generation of technologists working for justice. And somewhere above the clouds, passengers of every background traveled with dignity, protected by systems that made discrimination transparent, documented, and too expensive to maintain. The quiet girl in the hoodie had not just claimed her seat. She had ensured that every seat on every flight for every person would be treated with equal respect. The flight was over, but the journey toward justice had only just begun. If you have ever been pushed down, humiliated, underestimated, or treated as if you didn't belong, then Maya's story is proof that dignity can rise from the lowest place. A stolen seat became the birthplace of an entire movement, one that uplifted a new generation, healed old wounds, and reminded an entire industry that respect is not optional. From humiliation came courage. From injustice came reform. From cruelty came compassion. And from a single stolen seat came a future where every child, every passenger, every human being is treated with honor. That is the power of standing firm, of letting truth speak, of trusting that justice goes before you, even when the world pushes you back. Maya remembered this truth, and she didn't just reclaim her dignity, she rebuilt it into something greater. Your seat in life is not determined by the opinions of others. It is determined by the purpose and courage you carry within you. If this story moved your heart, inspired your courage, or reminded you of your own worth, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest stories of courage, justice, and triumph. Your support helps us bring these important stories to light and reminds us all that change is possible when we have the courage to stand up for what's right. Thank you for watching, and remember, you belong wherever your courage takes you.
Тут ты зашел к нему, блядь.
Послушай.
Не послушай, а выслушай.
Что я обещаю? Саня, стой на секунду, стой, Юра, стой. А ты на чем приехал?
Ну, ни о чем.
Ага.
Ебать хотел, да? Тебя-то нет их сейчас.
Он даже их остановил, чтобы они не шумели, чтобы это сказать, понял?
Тебя-то нет их сейчас.
Скоро будет, брат.
Но я не такой, как ты, мой твой нету.
100%. А что тогда ты говоришь, у тебя тогда нет, ты противоречишь своим словам. Ебать ты зацепился, понял? Именно на причинах, понял? Не, если ты... Сука. Она? Нет, там на этих, на шеф.
Обижаешь, КВ.
Да. Что наши? Что наши? Моя машина? Никогда там урод ебал.
Что?
На Ашер не поставлю ни одну свою машину.
Помог.
Ты вчера заказывал с Авито на свою Ладу невесту.
Да я даже на Ладу Ашер не поставлю никогда в жизни. Это как Дейкин на машину поставить. Без негатива.
Осуждаю.
У него Дейкин стояла.
Не, ну...
Давай, теперь давай фото
я тебе ищу. Не, когда только вышли, когда...
А он за 150 тысяч купил, брат.
Ну за такую цену Дейкин базару нет.
А ты что думал?
Бля, есть...
За 600?
Сколько на G90
За
Дейкин
800?
стоит?
Да,
Лям 200.
нет.
Лям 200 стоит на G90.
Правильно сказал.
А?
Неправильно сказал.
Лям.
Лям, родной памяти.
Нет, за цену, за 150 тысяч, уходи, это охуенно.
На шанс. На фарт.
Очень сладко он говорит это. Нихуя вы в 4 колеса мне подними.
Плохо?
Охуительно.
Если мы сейчас выйдем вот таким составом на красный, пройтись.
Пизда.
Твоего брата Анара не хватает только.
Не надо.
Брата, надо?
Это катастрофа будет.
У меня в
в
Краснодарском крае на букву А,
Если мы пойдем погулять, это будет катастрофа.
ну, несколько братьев, один из них тут стоит. Адам?
Анатолий?
А вас? Что с тобой вообще?
Или Алихан?
Что с тобой? Алихан!
Ты стукнул сюда. Как с ходоком, даже он
Как
двигается.
ты вот так с моим братом, представляешь, да?
Расскажи историю.
Нет, ты расскажи.
Нет, ты расскажи.
Мало того, что ты хотел, заблокировал.
Я.
Подожди, стой.
Послушай, представьте,
Мы
вот,
общаемся
посмотрите,
в рамках жизни, не от...
Стой.
В рамках жизни, не от жизни.
представьте,
по жизни.
его брат,
Не,
его брат,
не вообще сейчас.
названный брат его,
Названы?
послушай,
Давай.
играет, ну, извини, брат,
А что, не мог перепрыгнуть через него?
его названный брат
Так.
играет в GTA,
Так.
на Бертоне промокод стил ставя самого
Осуждаем, Мажестик самый лучший сервер.
И стой, давай.
Он играет против меня, его названным братом, понимаешь, вот так вот. И мало того, что за этого, за Кодока, который дизгерил с трансом, братуха,
Ебать, загамбали. Дизгирил.
Он сначала заругал меня.
Дизгирил.
Это что значит? Это на вашем нефорском что-то?
Дизгирил. Дизгирил. Это как Джиз Кирилл, Вася.
Во-первых,
не сможешь, во-первых. Еще скажешь по незнанке или не по отчику.
не, по незнанке эта движуха такая не канает. Просто никто не хотел навязываться. А получилось так, что ты просто взял, вот так обезличил и кинул.
Как? Как?
Не понял.
Не понял.
Обезличил?
Жалко пацан, один пацан целый день стримит, старается, и там.
Еще скажешь стремиться будет.
Осуждаю.
Осуждаю.
Осуждаю. Осуждаю.
Что ты хочешь? Что ты хочешь?
Что ты хочешь? Ты все сказал, а теперь послушай мне.
Бля, хорошие батоны.
Вась, ну если честно, красный смотрится не так себе, нет?
И Кайло. Алло, да?
Алло, блядь.
Че хочешь?
Че, красный, может, перекрасим их?
Какой, блядь?
Давай.
Какой?
Белли.
Бля, брат, вы красите?
Конечно.
Просто белый не делают?
Да.
Сделаем, брат, вообще не проблема.
Пожалуйста, бля.
Когда хочешь. Красим, конечно. А сейчас вот так могу крутануть.
Не надо, моляю.
Вот это сделайте? Конечно.
А
Ты не видел, как подсунув вот
как вы делаете это?
Как не делаем, только наоборот. Опер наклейка берется.
Скажи, как ты хочешь, скажи.
Когда точно так и берется.
Пацаны, золотой?
Нет, золотой нет.
Коричневый.
Да, вот коричневый. Или
А,
знаешь, как можно?
вы так клеите сверху и красите.
С кем ты разговариваешь сейчас?
Вы не общаетесь?
А, ты со стримом общаешься?
А не нахуй пойдет. Вот. Ну что, пойдем?
Получается, ты хочешь сказать?
Брат, хотя бы дайте я вас попадел бы, брат. Но у меня, я и так сегодня подъебался, брат, сам по себе.
Сура Траверс.
Что это?
Траверс.
Что это?
То, что у меня порвало сегодня, блядь. До сих пор не
Да,
выучил.
кардан сломался.
Нет.
Если бы. А есть фотка последняя, я покажу ему, чтобы он поплакал.
Послушай, нет, подожди. Вот честно. Вот давай сейчас честно. Вот на чистоту.
Не сможешь.
Нет, вот мы сейчас втроем узким братским кругом стоим.
Так.
Вот честно.
Я круг шире сразу делаю.
Да. Подключай.
Чё?
Вот смотри.
Стой.
Вот мы 3 дня.
Не, подожди. Рауш. Только камеру не показывай.
Да,
Говори камеру. Звони.
Лысый вчера звонил, да?
Наш брат. Послушай.
Ты его знаешь?
Нет. Послушай. Вот мы с
вы
тобой
в
3
чате?
дня. С тобой 3 дня.
У меня чат не работает, Вась.
Сидели, мечтали.
У меня чат не работает.
Что ты хочешь? Говори к цели, сути. Ну,
Все, чат не работает у меня.
что ты хочешь?
Хочу, чтобы ты дал объяснение, почему ты не забрал.
О,
Ты на общий
заработал.
хочешь вывести?
Нет, я хочу интерес проявить. В рамках жизни, не более.
Я не понимаю, вы что?
Я не знаю, хули он мурчит здесь, блядь.
Да ты пока в Обширонске был, мы целый меня мечтали, когда это Е60 приедет, он пошел без меня ее забрал. Вот тебе и
Он
на.
обиделся, ты обиделся на меня, правильно?
Да, на обиженных воду возят.
Что тогда?
Будем переставлять с этих колес на те.
Не, выкини, брат, просто.
Наверное, да.
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 Что ты дакаешь? Он обиделся из-за того, что я пошел, я 60 бетон забрал. Я хотел
Вы
пойти.
бы обиделись, вот честно.
Я хотел пойти.
О, в нашем братстве нет
Халео, послушай, я в 12 утра поехал со стримом за машиной. Я и Аваз бы поехали, забрали, намыли ее, на учет поставили и хотел всем своим кентам позвать. Всем своим кентам показать. Но ты же, походу, не мой кент.
Да, вот, в том-то и дело. Вот, точно так и переводит.
Тупой она перед тобой сломал, перед твоим лицом вот так, точно так переводит.